This guy Alvi with a social media marketing agency is making 6 figures per year, and in the last 2 weeks he's signed 5 new clients. Here's how. I'm going to show you what a snippet of a live coaching call looks like with one of my students, Alvi. He is doing 6 figures per year with his content and social media marketing agency. And what I love about working with someone like Alvi is two things. Number one, I've seen him go from 0 at 17 when he first joined our program to now being 19 and making over 10k per month. Just seeing that transformation he's gone on has just been insane. The other thing I love about working with Alvi is the fact that we come on a call every week, we look at what he's done for the last week, we look at the results in his business, and we lay out a plan, a very simple step-by-step plan that he can follow for the next week. Alvi's a great student to work with because he comes on, he asks good questions, and he puts in the work. So it's an absolute pleasure to check in with him every week. So that's something I do inside of the coaching that I do inside my program. I'm giving you this snippet because you're going to see all of the ins and outs, all of the little things that he's doing and dealing with on a weekly basis that are bringing him this kind of money. The money that you're probably trying to make. And if you want to make this kind of money, you need to learn from the people that are making this kind of money.
You know, you signed what, like 3 or 4 clients the last week. You had a couple
Yeah.
last week as well. Okay, let's say there's a dip, but you still have 1 or 2 clients come in next week. Like, yeah, where do you feel like you need to go next? Do you feel like you have a good base with the new editor where they can pick up some slack as well, or where are you at with that?
Yeah, so I think it's obviously just starting with the new editor now. There's still quite a bit of kind of going back and forth with
Of
him
course,
on
yeah.
feedback, revisions, getting up to date on the style. But that's obviously going to be a big change because, like the last couple of weeks, I've been doing all of the research in the videos, all of the editing, very little sleeping. So that's going to be better when we get the editor. But there's still a lot that goes into it in terms of finding the ideas, writing up the plans for the posts, communicating with the editor to go back and forth, then obviously delivering to clients. There's still quite a lot in that, and I think it will get quite crazy once we get a few more. So I feel like it might be on the horizon to get a client manager in. It's not something that I'm in a massive rush to do because I'm happy to do it for now. Yeah, I'm not sure what you think in terms of like what would you look to have in place first in terms of maybe systems or number of clients before we bring someone in.
What a banger question, man. That's yeah, let's dive in, man. I'm just gonna pull up the notes here, Alvi, so we can kind of follow along. Okay, so let's just go through that question, right? Which is what to look for before hiring a client manager.
Yeah.
And I guess we probably would have touched on this, I guess, sometime last year when you brought someone on, but you know, I'll just kind of give you a rough what I would look at first based on where you're at. So like number one is you've got so many things going on, right? Like you've got outreach. And when I say going on, as in it's like it's a system that you're still working on, right? Because you're still bringing new reps in, of course, training them, monitoring performance. You've, of course, then got your personal brands. That's a whole other project as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got new clients, which are coming from a new source, as we looked at before. You know, it's cold.
Yeah.
So the process and the delivery to them sometimes is different than if you get a inbound lead off of Upwork, right? So personally, I would, you know, be keeping complexity at the top of my mind to say, okay, cool. Is this getting too complex? That's not what we need. We want to keep things as simple as possible. And so the things that I would look for, man, is you're signing a good number of clients. So onboarding would be something I would look to that system, that process, and say, right, where is that at? And the question I'd run by you, Avi, is based on an experience I had. I remember there was a point for me, probably at a similar rate you're at, where it was 2, 4, 5 clients a week. That was kind of the rough frame that we were in. And I remember it got to a point where I would kind of, obviously I'd be delighted to sign a new client, but I would kind of dread it as well because I knew I had to onboard the client, which would take me like 30 minutes of admin work, which was like setting up their Google Drive folder, communicating to the team, setting up a few other things like Go Visually, that kind of stuff. And it's just really manual and boring. So I know if there was a day where I had 3 new clients in, it would just really annoy me and I would really dread it. And so if you look at that, that's obviously very bad because that means there's going to be times where I could have sold a deal, but I'm just like, oh, I'm not even pushed to do it, you know? Like there's like an opposite of an incentive for me to do this because I am creating more work for myself. So I would look at this, man, like what does the process look like? And really, most importantly, how long is it taking you? If it's only taking you a few minutes and it's not a headache at all, cool, sweet. We don't need to create more complexity with a new system. But if it is something similar to me where you're a bit like, this is getting a little annoying now, then it's worth looking there. So what does it currently look like?
Good question. To be honest, there's no onboarding process in terms of something that's very like systematic. To be honest, it's just kind of me. First off, we'll get the client, we'll get the contract signed, we'll set up the Google Drive folder. They'll input the first video, the first raw pieces of footage. And then I'll go and find the first ideas for the videos, create the first videos. Although obviously that will be the editor from now.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. One thing that I was thinking of implementing, which obviously I think is a good idea, is an onboarding form, because I think that what we're lacking right now is like in terms of ideas for creating content, it'll be good to know that from the clients. Like if they want to focus more on fat loss specifically, if they want to focus on muscle gain, whatever that is. Right now, that process of finding ideas has kind of just been me chatting with the clients on the call, or just kind of researching on their page. There's no place specifically where I can go and say, look, I'm finding ideas for this client. Let's find ideas about fat loss for mums or whatever it is. It will be good to kind of have all that. So if a client manager did come in, then they could find those ideas just by looking at the client's onboarding form. So
definitely. Yeah, for sure, man. I would put that as top priority. Because you're not going to need it with every client, like you said, right? Some of them will give you enough on the call. Cool, sweet, no problem. It's just a good process to have. It's also a good backup as to if 3 weeks in client goes, I hate all these ideas. We can refer back to it and go, look, I get that and we want to work with you. We did send the form and you did mention these exact ideas. So just curious what has changed since then. Just to give you a bit of backup when those annoying situations come up. Yeah, man, definitely I would get this done. If you want to just copy what we had of you, it's probably the easiest way to do it. If you need me to resend it, let me know. But I think we looked at it before where we had a section of, the styles, right? Where they would kind of pick what styles they like, fonts, that kind of stuff. Would recommend doing the same. Just take some screenshots of stuff you've made for clients and yourself and give them the options. And again, backup, right? So that if 3 weeks in, they're like, I hate this editing style. You're like, okay, but you told us you really liked it on the form. So is it just, you don't like the color or the whole thing? Is there actually a bigger problem here? So that makes sense, man. I would definitely get that locked in. With the contracts, how does this currently look, man? Like, do they sign that on a call? Do they pay first, then sign the contracts? What normally happens there?
Yeah, so we don't do it on a call right now. Pretty much what happens is we'll get them on the onboarding call, we'll get everything planned out. And then pretty much just get the yes, good to go. And then after that call, I'll send them both at the same time, the contract and then the payment link. So it's kind of like I'll send the agreement first, but they kind of do them both at the same time.
Makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I don't think you need to change anything there. That seems pretty smooth, if you're getting them on the call to do it. Yeah, nice one, man. But yeah, onboarding form, I'll definitely get that implemented. It'll probably save you quite a bit of time. On top of that, like, as in, there's nothing wrong with your process, man. Like, if a process works, a process works. The main thing we obviously want to look for there is, again, if it's taking too much time or it's dragging or it's over multiple days and it just is even a bit chaotic or messy, I just know at scale that feeling will just get bigger and bigger. So when you've got, when you're 30 clients a month, it will feel like that times whatever it is currently, So definitely worth looking at this stuff. Just to go through it. So like contract, then Google Drive, then they input, then you do ideas. Alive. Nice. I'm sure this happens all the time.
Yeah.
And then create the videos and then go forward. That seems completely cool, man. Do you have would you say there's much issue or drag or, back and forth after this part? So if this is onboarding, when we look at then delivery as to we give them the videos or we post them, whichever one you're doing, Is there much drag there, or has that process been pretty smooth? I know feedback and revisions is normally a bit of a sticking point for a lot of people.
Yeah. I think it depends. It depends on what type of content they're doing. For the vast majority of them, it's been smooth. We've gone and done the text on the screen videos. They really liked them, and that's been fine. I did have one client where we decided to do more of a day in the lifestyle video, and it took him about 3 weeks to get the first ones even made. And then he did the first ones, and then he was like, I don't really like these. So now we've switched to doing basically text on the screen videos, and it's kind of cool now. It's smooth, but that was basically three weeks that we lost before we could bill him again, because we were just waiting for him to get raw content. And in the end, he didn't even do anything that he was happy with.
Yeah. I hear you, man. Another thing to keep in your mind just through this process is client experience, right? So just ensuring that, of course, processes need to be easy, simple, scalable for you. That's important. But also then client facing, we want to make sure that just the whole experience overall is something that's easy, first off, but also enjoyable. Like, it's straightforward, it looks professional, it feels professional, it feels worth the money. It's a really important thing to consider. Because there are, if you take the example of when you have a client where you're getting them results, but they don't, or you don't communicate the results, they might see that and be like, oh, well, we're not really getting great results, right? That idea there, taking that concept, that same problem of we're not communicating basically our efficiency, our efficacy, can also stem into your processes and the experience, right? Where even if they're getting what they want, they're getting the videos they like, if the experience is just messy, chaotic, or they don't really love it, you can imagine that actually does impact their decision as to, do I stay? It's not as important as the deliverable, as the video content. That's most important, but that other experience piece will come into play. And it can be very subtle, but what I would kind of look at, man, is put yourself in the client's shoes and theoretically onboard yourself, and just be honest and be like, does this feel class? Does it feel okay? Is it fine? Where is it? Because if we can make it feel class, that first impression is going to last. Like, it really does last. So something to look at, man, something to look at. I think onboarding form is going to definitely help you with that. You said you're already doing onboarding call, which I absolutely love. You're already doing contracts with the payments, so no issues with that. Communication, is that WhatsApp?
WhatsApp,
Yeah, no problem with that either. Obviously I have a preference for Slack at scale, but there's really not much difference at the end of the day. WhatsApp can work fantastically well. So I guess their current flow, or the new flow, would probably be onboarding call, contract payment, and then onboarding form is probably going to slot in after that part, which then leads you to the work side. When it comes to sending the content, then do you just, in WhatsApp, do you just like send the Google Drive folder to them when it's done, or are they involved in the idea process as well?
Yeah, so it depends. With most, we just create the video, we create the idea, we create the video, and then we send it. We actually just send it in WhatsApp, because you can do like HD now. We upload it to Google as well.
Okay.
But then there's other clients where they want to basically write the content for the videos. So for example, we'll come to the client with a video idea, like 6 fitness myths. And then they'll want to actually write the 6 fitness myths. So that's a little bit more of a complicated process, where we'll give them the idea, they'll give us the content, we'll create the content, and then we send it back.
And does that all happen within WhatsApp, or would they put that like on a document, or
within WhatsApp actually right now?
WhatsApp. Okay, man. Yeah, it's probably, you're definitely hitting the side of making it easy for them. Like, that's a really easy process. If I was your client, there'd be no headache there, right? Because I don't have to download anything, do anything separately. It's just WhatsApp. I just do everything in there. So like, that's really good. The only kind of downside of that is it can be messy. So, I'm sure some of your WhatsApp chats can be a bit chaotic if there's like big ideas and like big scripts, and then there's video links, and it's probably a bit all over the place for some of them. And it will just depend on the client. Some clients won't mind that, but some of them who might be a more, let's say, like A-type personality, very like organized, to-do list every morning kind of guy or girl, for them, that might feel mental. That might feel like, whoa, this is crazy, So it's worth looking at, man. It's worth looking at. Like the way we would have done that would have been that idea process would have been on ideas sheet. So they had idea sheet, which was basically content calendar, all in a spreadsheet. Most, coaches in this case will have Sheets downloaded as an app. So it'll be easy enough for them to use. So that process was easy, but it meant that then we'd have that. So if we're 6 months in, like we can always just go back to the sheet and be like, well, here's all our ideas for month 1. Let's just kind of redo these ideas with new swings. You're basically just saving yourself so much hassle, but it also gives them this big collection of ideas that if they want to do a story that day, they can just also do that, right? And they can just go back 6 months on the idea sheet and be like, oh, cool, today I'm going to talk about protein. Again, it's one of the things where, does it make it easier? Not necessarily, but long term, it saves a lot of hassle, headache, and it does feel more professional. And again, there's an extra value add for them. So personally, man, I would probably look at testing this with new clients. Not with current clients, keep it how it is. If it works, it works. But just for new ones, test this out and see how that goes. Then sending content in WhatsApp, no issue with that. Again, at scale, I think Go Visually it doesn't have to be Go Visually, an alternative as well, will probably just save you a ton of headache for the client that's picky and has a lot of revisions and feedback, because of the fact, I think you know how it works, right? But if this was a video we were reviewing, we just wouldn't have back and forths. It would just be, you would just highlight, boom, change this. 303, change this. Super easy. So I would look at that as well. But it does add a little more complexity. That's why I wouldn't be jumping into this right away, because it is another platform they would have to use.
Yeah, cool. That sounds good.
Cool. But decent, man, decent. Keep an eye on, say for the week coming, right, with like new onboards and that, try and be a little more, let's say, cognizant of how long it does take you, right? Because if you can get a grasp on how long does it actually take me to onboard a client, just keep a little note of it yourself. You'll then know, again, is this something we need to change and systematize, or is it fine? Because for me, when I realized, feck, it's taking me 30 minutes each time, right? What I then did was, like, straight away was just SOP'd it and got a VA to do the parts they could do, plus Zapier to automate the parts that I didn't think VA needed to do. Just give you a rough idea, right? While we're on the topic, new payment via Stripe, that would get Zapiered into Slack. VA would see message. VA would then go to onboarding SOP plus follow that, which was set up Google Drive, set up Go Visually, add clients to both via email, set up Slack, invite me, business partner, client, anybody that needs to be in there, set up another Slack channel for graphic designer for that specific client. And, within whatever it would take them, the 30 minutes, what it meant was it was all done. All done. And all I had to do then was, if I was going to manage still that client myself, would be message them in their newly created channels and just be like, hey, welcome in. You got everything? Because as part of this, they would also add client to a Google Sheet, which would trigger an email flow, which would then send them onboarding form, onboarding call, plus email tips for their first few weeks. So tips every few days, best practices for Instagram. But this was something that we built out once. And once it was built out, it took probably a good few hours for me to build out. Once it was done, easy, man. Because I knew, get a client, once they pay, and they're going to get basically funneled into this whole ecosystem, this whole experience that is probably going to wow them and will make things very easy and straightforward. And I think it probably would have helped retention. There's no way for me to know if it did, but I imagine it definitely contributed to that.
Yeah, sensational.
A lot in it though. So let's, like we said, let's go one step at a time. Let's go onboarding form, get that going, and maybe play around with this one, the idea sheet. Let's see if that helps.
Yeah, cool. I'll try that out with the idea sheet for new clients. I do like that.
Decent, man. Decent. So I guess plan for the week, man, is continue as train up. You've got the rep still going with the editor, bit of training on there, and then anything else?
Yeah, just get the third rep in. That'll be good. I do actually have I've got a third rep who's just started, but they've been very like average so far. Like in terms of communication, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, just like as it kind of as a general hiring mindset.
Yeah,
they're clearly doing a solid job. Like they're consistent every day, finding the leads and sending the messages, but they're not really communicating. Like they don't send me updates on how they're doing, and also it's very like bare minimum. Like we gave them a target of 20 per hour, and it's just 20 per hour every single time. Versus if I look at, like, for example, the other reps I've got, the second guy that I brought on last week, like it's unbelievable. Like he's going above and beyond. He's like finding way above targets every time he logs in. He like sends me a message and he's right, this is the plan for today. Every time he finishes, he's like, right, this is how it's gone.
Yeah,
he comes up with new ideas to make it more effective. All these things. Would you, in that situation where you've got like clearly that like A player kind of personality, would you just kind of cycle through and find those? Or if you do find someone who's maybe more average, would you just kind of train them up, keep them going? Because like my mindset was to just kind of let this one go because I know there's so many other people out there, and I could find another one like this guy or like the star BA.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure what you think about that.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think it probably makes sense to cycle through. That would be my gut reaction. If you're seeing such a clear difference, yeah, I think so. Like, I would want to be fair to the person and give them kind of like my last chance saloon, which is, I'd probably try and put them in contact with the A player, right? And send them a message just being like, hey, Jane, awesome so far. You're hitting the targets exactly as we're laying out. Really good to see. Wanted to connect you with John here because John has same targets as yourself, but he's typically doing 30 per day. He's typically communicating with us a little bit extra. It's really awesome to see. If that's something you can model and replicate, amazing. We'd love to see if there's anything you can get from John, like any tips, any information you could get from him, and kind of like then just very clearly communicate to her privately, saying, look, love what you're doing it to a T, but we are looking for someone that can come in and kind of bring that fresh energy. So when we set a target of 20, that you'll do 25, 30, that you're willing to go above and beyond, because I want to keep you long term, but I need to make sure that the standard is kept. And then give it a day or two, and if it continues, or if 25 is done but you're still finding communication isn't good and this and that, I'd say pull the plug, man, and I'd go to the next person.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's what I'll do because in fairness, she's shown that she's consistent and she's got seemingly solid performance so far. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, for sure. With a role like that, yourself, like that's what you need. The A player of going above and beyond. It is going to bring benefit, but it's probably not going to, change the game too much. That consistency is obviously the most important part. So yeah, I think it's fair if you do that, man. Give the insight and then see where you go from there.
Nice one.
Cool. Nice one, man. But good to hear. Cylinders are firing in all directions. But keep that sleep in check. Make sure you're getting enough rest as well, eh?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's been busy. I'm tired. The problem is like, I wanna go home soon. I'm going home next week because here in Spain, like you might have found this when you're traveling in Airbnbs as well. It's just so not ideal. Like you sleep in and there's like a road outside, or it's too hot.
Yeah.
And it really throws you off. So I'm looking forward to getting back into like a good, productive environment. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%, man. 100%. Spain in summer as well with the heat. Like it's killer, man, for
Yeah,
sleeping. It's no good.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Makes sense, man. Makes sense. It's the
Yeah.
same with me right now, being back in Ireland. Obviously, weather completely cool, but just even the space, because I'm just in this janky little office, as a
Mm,
makeshift for the time being. It takes a toll. You're not going to get the same quality of work done
yeah,
that you would otherwise.
yeah,
You can try
yeah,
push through
definitely.
it, but it's just a fact at the end of the day.
Mm, yeah, 100%.
Cool. But solid, man. Solid. Good stuff, and I look forward to checking in next week.
So if you enjoyed that snippet of that coaching call with Alvi, hopefully there was some actionable insights that you can take away from this. And if you want to know more about being someone like Alvi inside of my program, you can check the description of this video and there'll be some information to show you how you can get my help.